I never thought that I was going to get caught, but then one day my RA knocked on my door in my dorm room and handed me a letter from the RIAA and was like, I have some bad news.
Well, the industry does not seem to take any of the criticism of their strategy, wielding that iron hammer that eventually the file sharers will buckle.
Or attempted to do things to stem the flow of MP3s, and neither of those worked. And so basically they are paying the price for their own short-sightedness regarding the new technology.
I've read about it in the Post, and I don't really care too much for it.
Well, I used to download music until I found out that it was suing, so I just deleted my LimeWire and took everything away.
I used to, but then with all this stuff, I canceled. Like I had SoulSeek and I deleted that. But honestly, next year I'll probably do it again.
I think it's a little too much to fine for just downloading a couple songs for $3,000.
I think it's very excessive. It's kind of expensive for a college student. All of a sudden, you got to settle a $3,000 statement or $750 a song. So I don't think it's fair.
I guess I'm going to say, if you're a true artist, you make music because you love the music and you love to make it. You don't make it for the money.
Say that first of all, the RIA should stop demonizing music fans and try to figure out ways that they can turn the disenfranchised music fans into music consumers.
There's actually quite a few defenses. The problem is that the recording industry has picked the right number to intimidate students into settling.
When I got the letter, I was kind of stressing out a little bit just because I saw the word sued and I was like, this is a big deal.
The vast majority of cases settle because of that, not because the students are, it's a slam dunk case for the industry. There are numerous defenses. Number one, that the file sharing activity didn't happen, that they're not the person who is associated with that IP address, that they share that IP address, for instance, in the case of roommates, or in the case of a wireless network system, that somebody else was doing the sharing. Number one, they can't, it's not really a defense, but it's a situation where the recording industry cannot prove that that the student named did the sharing because they don't have the evidence. The hard drive, for instance, doesn't exist anymore. And without the hard drive, they can't prove that the owner of that hard drive did the sharing.
And again, I don't think $3,000 is much of a smack. One of the students said over 500,000 songs on their server. Absolutely not. I would go 10 times more than that. I would go 10 times. Theft is theft. And the point is this, that what you're dealing with here is an attitude that basically says to 500,000 different people, your work has no value. Well, if that's the case, go into every art gallery in the world and take a knife and start slashing the paintings. They have no value. They have no value. Let's take photos of them and sell them. Okay? The idea of an intellectual property. And it's the notion that a creative mind, a creative individual should be compensated for their work, and that the work that they have has value. And just because we have an easy method of sharing that work, duplicating it and then distributing it, doesn't mean that that is a valid thing to be doing.
I feel it's shameful. I feel it's absolutely shameful. I feel like certain students are being scapegoated for what they're doing. The money is not going to make a bit of difference to the recording industry at all. I mean, $3,000, $5,000, that's a lot of money to a student. That's, food. That money is basic necessities. How's that going to affect the bottom line of the major labels? Of course, not at all. It's not going to do anything. It's merely symbolic. It's merely to try and scare people into not behaving the way they're behaving.
I don't know that it makes business sense to alienate your core customer base, your core demographic, like some of these companies are doing, like BMG. I don't know that it makes sense to focus your energy on intimidating 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds into paying $3,000 when your issue really should be, how do we adjust to the changing times and technology and come up with a new business model that embraces that, rather than trying to stick with an antiquated business model and be cutthroat about it.
I feel that the RIAA and the major record companies are acting out of desperation, because the business model that has fostered the recording industry, the major labels in the past, over the past 50 years, has completely changed. But it's over, it's gone, the train has left the station. And what the major record labels to do, if they want to survive, is rather than demonizing and criminalizing their client base, what they should be doing is doing what the independent labels are already doing, which is embracing this behavior.